This episode will be completely taken out of context. Welcome to the Fact Check This podcast.
All right, Fact Check This, and Trey and I are going to talk about Gamergate. After last week's episode on Pragmata and why the usual crowd hates it and wants to call it pedo bait and everything else, you have to go back a little over a decade, or right at a decade, I guess.
About 12 years.
And look at what happened that kind of changed the face and the landscape of the gaming world. And then from there, that kind of set off a decade of turning everything woke and gay and terrible to the backlash that has come from it and everything else that we've learned of it. So you were, what was it? That was 14, 15. You were probably more directly involved with gaming at that time than I was. At that point, most of my gaming consisted of the original Destiny and every Lego game that has ever been made. Like that was when we were doing Lego Star Wars, Lego Lord of the Rings, Lego Marvel, like every Lego game ever created. We were fully invested in Lego, and any free time that I had that I wasn't playing Lego, I was playing Destiny, the first Destiny. So I didn't really get in on the Gamergate stuff as much because I wasn't that kind of a gamer at that time. After we moved back to Kentucky from Mississippi, I had a big community that I did games with and stuff when I lived in Mississippi. And when we moved back, in the moving process and changing jobs and everything else, I kind of got out of it. And then as I was starting to pick up games a little bit more, Sean was getting old enough that he could actually play. And so that's when we were hitting the...
Instead of the hand him a controller and here you're playing too. I'm sure you did that too. Because I did that. I did that with my youngest the other day. You know, it's like
when he was little, I would sit there on the Xbox and I would take a wired Xbox controller and I would run the wire over to the controller and just set it over there. So he thought it was plugged in, and I mean, he would just go at it. But then, as he got older, and I guess, by 14, 15, he was 6, 7 years old and could actually kind of work his way around a control and like knew what he was doing a little bit. Like I said, we did all the Lego games. We did all the Skylander stuff. Like he was big on that stuff, and he had a lot of fun with that, and he was helpful with it. And it also kind of built his love of gaming from there. But I was not in the like gaming community kind of stuff. So I didn't get to see the Gamergate stuff firsthand, or at least what I did see of it didn't affect me. So explain kind of what happened.
Yeah. If you look at the history of Gamergate, there's like a lot of different like perspectives that people are talking about. And it's funny. I have a video where I kind of wanted to talk about it. And so, I was doing sort of these gaming videos, like similar to Destiny, like you were saying. I did a little bit of like, I'm doing Destiny's weekly strike. I had these, silly videos where I was, just doing the weekly strike and talking about stuff like, oh yeah, this is what's going on, whatever. And so there was one that I wanted to, I kind of talked about it, but I was completely, I knew what was going on, but I think I was focused on the wrong things. But essentially, there was this whole campaign before Gamergate even started. There was a campaign by the media to essentially say that the gamer is dead. So there were these sort of threads, and a lot of gaming outlets would say, the traditional gamer is dead. Like, the sort of gamer that you think of, like, someone who's invested in the gaming ecosystem, who, is a diehard gamer, who looks at themselves, views themselves by that personality trait of being interested in gaming media, that person is dead, and now we are basically selling video games to this sort of homogenous glob of kind of a person, any person. We're making games that essentially anybody can play, not that we're making games for gamers. So the gamer is dead. So there was a lot of these kind of articles that came before it, but then when what really kicked it off is whenever after people, actual gamers got annoyed by these articles, they started looking more seriously at gaming journalism. So when they started critiquing this, they started finding out that finding little crumbs and little nuggets of things, sort of um, pockets of nepotism, of just like stuff where why is this person's game getting a 10 out of 10? Because this is a trash game. Objectively speaking, this is a trash game, and any solid game reviewer who is an actual gamer would give this like a zero. But they're getting a 10 out of 10. Why is this game getting a 10 out of 10? So you there was a particular um female game developer, Zoe Quinn or whatever. So she supposedly was she was creating a game. I forget. I don't remember if hers was the Depression Quest or whatever. There was a particular game anyway, and it was a sort of indie, silly, being like one of those like, I'm going to take you on a journey, whatever kind of games, and it was objectively a bad game. Like no one would actually like it if you're a gamer, but it got like 10s out of 10s on everything because come to find out that she was sleeping around with the guy who's actually doing the review. Well, when people found that out, they were like, "Hey, we need to have ethics in game journalism," and that's sort of what Gamergate was initially based off of. Okay, we found instances, and we documented everything. Instances of this person doing, using their position to, get themselves better review scores, and essentially gaming the system. So it was just gamers saying, "Hey, we know how we know game theory. We know how games work. We know what you're doing. We see you basically selling your, you know, selling, access for, reviews and all this kind of stuff, and basically, calling out those behaviors, and then, it kind of dogpiled or not dogpiled, but it sort of steamrolled into a larger sort of conversation about media, and I think that's why, as much as people joke about it, it very much is that Gamergate led to Trump and led to other stuff. And I mean, that may not be something you want to talk about tonight, but that's just something that a trend that sort of came out of this is that when you're critiquing the general media and you're saying, "Hey, the media are really painting particular, like, they're coming after my hobby, which I'm interested in," and then whenever I critique them and I'm giving them objective feedback and um I'm giving them a critique of hey, you're not having any ethics in game, in your journalism. There's problems with this, and you're providing that feedback to them, and then they're essentially telling you, even in worse terms, to screw off, like that they don't like that you are calling them out. That's why you get more of a backlash, and then it sort of spun off from there into a lot of different other sort of consequential events. But that was the main, is just just calling out someone who's sleeping with a reviewer and saying, "Hey, why is she getting favorable reviews?" And then eventually, it kind of leads into a more broader discussion of, well, journalism should have ethics, and they should do their due diligence and do their research. And that's why I think a lot of the sort of broader discussions and political stuff has kind of happened after.
Well, and then you also had one of those reviewers who was a game critic that didn't actually play games. Her entire gamer profile was completely manufactured to make it look like she did, when she didn't. In fact, was not a gamer, was not a fan of games. She was doing these reviews to prop up developers who fit like who fit certain demographic, checked all the right boxes and stuff. This is something that we've talked about it earlier today on Peddling Fiction, like the hitting all the diversity checkpoints and stuff. It, as people started to discover that all of this stuff was being manufactured, like the media of gaming had been circumvented to not actually be for gamers or about games or anything that people who play games want. It became another platform for a progressive agenda. Then everybody got pissed off. They're like, you have subverted this thing that we love and hold dear and cherish and turned it into something that it shouldn't have been, which when they started calling it out, that then led to where was the hit piece? Was it Vanity Fair? Or anyway, there was like
several.
Yeah, there were a number of different like hit pieces that were done targeting gamers, actual gamers, and making it seem like.
I think you're talking about the well, there was the initial ones, like I was saying, that they were basically saying like the traditional gamer's dead, and so that's why what sparked the original sort of interest in like, hey, well, this games and media is supposed to be in the interest of gamers and wanting to cultivate the gamer culture. So why are they basically telling us that we are no longer, we don't exist anymore? So then whenever you go back and you look at it and you're like, well, it's because they don't want us to exist. Like they don't want you to have a particular interest or have to recognize. They don't want you to notice anything about that they're doing to your hobby. They don't want you to notice that they're taking it in a direction that you don't want it to go. Why are you guys making this an all-female cast all of a sudden? Why does it need to be an all-female cast in Ghostbusters or whatever? Why do we need and that's sort of where these broader discussions happen. But yeah, I think it was a Vanity Fair one, the one that you're specifically talking about.
That basically like targeted gamers as being misogynists and toxic masculinity and all of that like dumb shit, and really kind of tried to turn the media narrative against gamers, as if we needed a media narrative to be turned against us anyway. Like most people already thought we were these like weird nerds and like societal outcasts or some shit. It's like, did you really need to run a Vanity Fair hit piece to make gamers look worse? Like, just leave us alone with the thing we fucking love. And the whole reason that it happened was because more and more women started to get involved in it. And like, if you look at the main ones who were involved in the Gamergate stuff and who kind of led the charge on the hit pieces and everything else, like, they're objectively ugly bitches. Like, and that number one, they're objectively ugly. Number two, they are absolutely bitches. Like they don't have good opinions. One of
them wasn't even a woman,
which makes it all the funnier. It's like the gaming community was like, these aren't our people. We don't want to hear from them. We don't care what they have to say. And so they just spun the whole media narrative against gamers as being non-inclusive. It's like, why should we let everybody into our club, especially when you don't actually like the things that we like. You don't actually care about the things that we care about. And objectively, if you look at what has happened in the last 10 to 15 years of gaming, it has gone downhill. There's a reason why a lot of these gaming studios have been closing, because they don't make games that gamers want to play. And then they blame it on, then they go back to the Gamergate shit and they blame it on toxic masculinity and these toxic fan bases and stuff like that. And it's like,
and the reason that they can't make games for gamers anymore is because they're not hiring gamers. I literally, I did try to apply to a couple of game studios just as a joke, I guess, just to see if I would have any possibility. And obviously I didn't meet a lot of the sort of the
demographic standards.
Well, yeah, I didn't meet the demographic standards for sure. But the experience sort of, I don't have 15 games under my belt or whatever, published or whatever that they kind of stuff that they want. But just looking at the actual application, they don't want actual gamers. They don't want people. They don't say, hey, there was one studio, absolutely one studio that I saw that was like, hey, we want someone who enjoys games, who plays games every day, who we want people who understand the gaming culture, understand the sort of subculture around gaming and what everything that goes into it. But that was it. The rest of the studios, they're like, hey, we just want someone who can come in here and make the product. Like if we look at it like the McDonald's perspective, it's like we want the product. Like we're not making a game, we're making the product. And that's definitely how they view it. They view it as a way of they're making a product, and all these products have agendas in some way. Like even my favorite franchise, Call of Duty, is obviously they're trying to get young men interested in the military. They want you to go sign up for the military. That's essentially what Call of Duty is a bold pitch for, of like, hey, young men, here's it looks cool to do military stuff, and it looks way less cool now because they've stopped making like good campaigns, stuff, interesting stories for you to actually play through to get invested in. Like, hey, this is a cool aspect of sort of this, at least this war story. I mean, if not like real war, but
whatever. Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 were real war feeling. Like they put you in a mindset. Like when you locked in to play those original Modern Warfare games, it was like you were locked in. It was it was like an experience. But yes, they don't do that anymore. They don't give you that narrative experience that pulls you into the character. Like now I enjoy Warzone with friends and running and doing but it's fucking Fortnite. It's Army Fortnite. It's all it is.
Well, I mean, and even if you the new games, when they do make a campaign, they can't do what they did with like Modern Warfare 2, because they can't have a particular narrative. You wouldn't see them. They even tried to do a fake sort of no Russian in one of the more recent Modern Warfares, but they didn't have the gall to do something bold enough, like, hey, you're gonna see innocent civilians die, and that's part of war, and we're trying to bring that to that audience and let them see that, hey, this is that to me, that's what originally made gaming look like a serious medium, is that we're pushing the boundaries, not of just like vulgarity necessarily, which a lot of modern things, they just push the boundaries of vulgarity, of like, hey, can we show more nudity, can we show more of this, show more weird kinky things.
How many F-bombs can we drop in 45 seconds? And it's pushing how far they can take the audience before they throw up, not how far can you take the audience before they break down and fucking cry. And that's what like the old good games from before the Gamergate stuff, but even a little bit before that, like I would argue anything 20 teens going forward was when it really started to get narratively bad. But like look at
it really started with Destiny, and unfortunately, like I know you like the Destiny lore and everything, but I think it kind of started with that sort of environment, because Destiny is sort of a less offensive, it does tell a narrative, it does do it better than basically any modern game, but as far as the topic, or the sort of content in a Destiny narrative, it's very pulled back. It's something very generic, sort of, that we can all kind of get along with, agree with. It's cookie cutter. It's not something that is trying to break the mold. It none of these are going to be like a Modern Warfare 2 anymore, because
I guess. And with Destiny, like outside of the death of Cade 6, you really don't have any like heartstring tugging moments throughout either of the games and all of the expansions and everything else. Like Cade 6 dies, and other than that, there's nothing that's really emotionally vested in the game. It's you are an immortal warrior that's just doing space battles for eternity, and it's cool. But yeah,
it's a cool narrative. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, as far as like pushing the boundaries of narrative and trying to make the viewer think, like make you as a gamer, I'm immersed in this moment. This moment is, gut
having
wrenching.
to make like moral choices, like some of the things with the Mass Effect games, the Infamous games, like having to decide how good or bad do you want to be, looking at choices. They don't give you that like test.
It's like I played Thief. I don't know if you remember Thief.
But yes.
Yeah. So Thief, there's a lot of moral choices in there. Like, and you can be you're still a thief regardless of what you do. You're stealing from people. So I mean, they don't cover that sort of part of the morality, but they do make it sort of clear that, hey, there is sort of an objective here to your some of your immorality, but you can take it to the extremes. Like you can take it to the extremes. You can steal everything from everyone, kill everyone if you want.
Right.
to.
I was gonna say with some of the choices in that game, it's like bad or objectively evil. Like there's not a good or a bad here. It's like bad or worse, and you have to figure out how depraved you want to take this game. And I mean, some people, that also gives you the option of like multiple playthroughs, because you can be like really neutral and kind of go either way depending on the thing, or just go straight Paragon and be all good, or just go full on fucking evil and see how horrible it can get. And like that stuff kind of makes you question shit. Like I don't know if you've ever done like a just full evil playthrough.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god! Like
especially GTA.
You get to certain points in like the Infamous games. Like you get to certain points, if you're trying to do a full evil playthrough, it's like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Like that shit, like some of that stuff, it hits hard. And games don't do that anymore. They want to be morally ambiguous and not make you think.
Well, I think two things from Alan here, but this one definitely, I think a lot of the reasoning for tapering back the morality is that they do want the female audience, and this is sort of why the whole Gamers Are Dead was really frustrating, is because the women who actually were playing the games at the time, they saw themselves as a gamer, and it wasn't, they didn't need the sort of the validation of the gaming media to kind of say, hey, we killed off the gamer thing, so now you can. They were fine with playing games where they played as a man. They could inject themselves into that, and but the sort of new e-girl who streams, oh my god, I'm playing games, guys. They need something to where they
you nailed that, by the way. Your Valley Girl is perfect.
Thanks, I've been working on it. But the girls who want to pretend to be gamers, to sort of get that sort of audience, they obviously needed something to where they could insert themselves. They were begging for like, hey, why can't I be a woman in Halo? And it's like, well, because it's Master Chief. We're playing as Master Chief. You cannot. There's not a female Master Chief. Like this, there's one Master Chief. He is male. And so it's like when they start, oh well, now, what if we just made a generic soldier that you get to play as and you can customize them? And that's sort of the start of like the Halo Reach era or whatever, where they have to, okay, now we're going to accommodate having a female character, but other than the fact that that these are generic soldiers, and sort of the end of the story ends with you dying there at Reach.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, if you haven't played Halo Reach in 12 years, I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, at least in that game, there narratively it can make sense of like, okay, well, we already know there are female Spartans. You can customize your character and be whatever type of Spartan that goes out there and dies. But when it comes to
even women can be cannon fodder, yes.
Hey, if it works for Ukraine, I guess it works for. But no, that's definitely a lot of what it was. Is these other people outside sources, and that's a lot of why the sort of Gamergate thing was really frustrating to a lot of people. Especially younger male gaming audience, is that they were starting to see that. Wait a second. There's a lot of people who kind of have their claws in our hobby, and we don't want it to be changed. Like, we don't want this to change, and they're basically telling us that it's going to change, and whether we like it or not. And that's why they were just like, yeah, right. We're not going to let this happen. And that's why they call you misogynist, because you say, hey, Master Chief cannot be a woman, and they say, well, that's misogynist. Like, why is it misogynist for an already established male character to continue to be male? And it's just like, I know, I think you said that oh no, yeah, I think you agreed with me that the Halo show was bad, right?
Yes. So as a fan of Halo, of the games and the lore and everything that goes with it, the show was objectively bad. They did what you were talking about. They found somebody to make a product. Now, if you are not a Halo fan and you're just looking for Space Marine show, it's good. My dad loved it. My dad watched the first season of Halo, and he was like, "Oh, that's really good. I really enjoyed it." I was like, "Really?" I got like 4 episodes in and wanted to like put holes in my TV. Like, it's fucking infuriating. I forced myself to watch the entire first season just to see if it got better, and it never did. And I couldn't go back to it after that because as a
second season's worse.
As a fan, it's fucking abysmal. But if you're just making a Space Marine product, my dad has never played any of the Halo games. He would get so pissed off at me and my brother whenever we would just set up in the TV in the living room and play Halo for 10 hours straight. It just like full surround sound in the living room blasting as we are just like marching through everything. And finally he would get to a point in the day where he would come in and be like, "Turn it the fuck off." Like, okay, sorry. We would drive him nuts just playing nonstop. So as somebody who's not a fan of the game and never played it, they made a product, but they didn't make something for gamers. And that's where I'm like at least happy with Fallout, is they did a really good job of making, like, my wife has never played any Fallout games, knows nothing about it. She loves the show. She's super invested. Every episode, she's like, "All right, what's next? What's next?" Me, who Sean would give me shit for the amount of Fallout that I play. He would walk out here and be like, "Really? Fallout again?" I'm like, fuck you. I'll play Fallout as much as I want to play Fallout. He's like, "Which one, 3 or New Vegas?" I'm like, "I don't know, whichever one I feel like tonight, and we'll see." Like, it's a coin toss. But for somebody who loves Fallout, the game, the show is also really good. So like that's an example of doing it good. But yeah, Halo is just, the show is abysmal.
Yeah, I would say other than a couple of soundbite sort of moments, I'm like, like, they still tried to manage to try to subvert it a little bit, but I feel like they definitely knew that, hey, we have to at least get this mostly right. But yeah, Fallout New Vegas is GOAT tier. But yeah, it's a frustration of a lot of people in a lot of places for a lot of different things. But it's just particularly the reason Gamergate was so big is because they basically kicked a hornet's nest that they didn't understand. And that's they didn't understand that when gamers are the type of people who are, we're super nerdy, we're into numbers, we're into research, we're into facts, we're into data, like this show, fact check this.
We like lore. We like the backstory. We like all of the we like all of the shit.
We study continuity. There's this funny clip of the sort of quintessential nerd or whatever, and he's going back and forth with another nerd. It's like a nerd off kind of thing. And I don't know if you've seen it. It's like a cartoon thing, but they're going off about one of them, like, when is when was the first time we saw the DeLorean and in Back to the Future or something like that? And they're just going back and forth with like nerd facts and stuff like this, and it that's sort of the nerd what nerd culture and what gaming culture became. And so whenever they essentially said, hey, we don't want any more of this, we don't want to be involved with gamers anymore, we just want to build products and not games anymore, that's why gamers reacted in such a way. And it's just like with the recent sort of any piece of gaming news in particular is gets a reaction from gamers, but especially stuff like the Xbox One. It got a rise out of gamers because the whole thing they were going to have always online DRM. It's like, no, we don't like that, and so they had to change their whole business model of, oh well, guys, sorry, we apologize, we're going to go back on that. And PlayStation did the whole thing of, look, I can just trade a game with my friend, and that was a whole thing because gamers had such a backlash to it, and that's why the whole Gamergate thing kicked off, is because you mess with the wrong people. Like, you mess with the wrong people. The people who are interested in going to the ends of earth to learn facts and data and information and understanding lore and all this kind of stuff, they know their stuff. And so when you come to them with a lot of BS, they know you're lying to them.
Right. You start changing stories, you start changing backgrounds, you start changing characters, you start doing all this stuff. And like, these are people that aren't like, we're not just casual observers of these games. Like, we have been doing this since we were, for some of us, since we were in high school. Like, the original Halo came out when I was in high school. And like, I played all the Halo games through college, and like we had LAN parties in like the computer lab at school when I was in high school. You bring in and set up 2 Xboxes on either side of the computer lab and put up fucking partitions in the middle so you couldn't be like cheating and looking at each other, and just go. Like, you'd set it up and have 3 or 4 TVs and 8 to 16 people running all at the same time in the same fucking room. Like, seriously, putting up like curtains and shit to keep from looking over, screen watching over each other's shoulders and stuff while you're playing. Like, we've been doing this for a long time. We are invested in this shit. And then you got these fucking casuals that just waltz in, all of them women. They're doing it because they can show their tits on a fucking Twitch stream and get a whole bunch of likes and a whole bunch of views, and then they can monetize that. And it's like, you are fucking useless. And the dipshits who are watching them and giving them attention and allowing them to monetize, y'all are part of the fucking problem too. Like, jerk off and move on. They're not that they don't care about you. This is like this is like thinking the stripper is in love with you. Like, the gamer girl does not care about the gamer guy, the gamer culture. She's just doing this to make a fucking buck. Understand it's a grift. Move on. Like, don't give these people your fucking attention. It has pissed off a lot of people because we have such a vested interest. Like Assassin's Creed. I remember playing the first original Assassin's Creed when it came out, and then being excited for 2 and Brotherhood. Yeah, and like all the, and then
3. I thought 3 was good. Some people didn't like 3. I personally liked it.
I thought 3 was fun. I enjoyed 3. Black Flag was fucking fun.
Great. Yeah.
Right. Even
they're even remaking it. It was so good, and they all the Assassin's Creed games are so crappy now that they've decided to remake a 10-year-old game.
Like, Unity was even all right, and then they just continued to get worse and worse. And
after they got the bugs worked out, of course.
Yeah.
The first month, it was so funny. Me and my brother were playing it. They had like a co-op mode where you could get like multi-assassin kind of thing, and it was funny. We would hop on there, and then we would sometimes get in a match, and then there's just all we would go to assassinate the target, and then just the whole game would just crash, or we would glitch through walls, all kind of crazy stuff. But yeah, it was a fun game once everything was fixed there.
But after that, they started getting away from what made the story and those original games good, and they just kept adding extra dumb bullshit to the point that we're at the whatever this last one was with the Black Samurai and like what the fuck are we even doing? Like,
and I don't think that sold well because I'm pretty sure like Ubisoft is now essentially trying to sell their company because their numbers are not looking good at all. Like their last few games have tanked. They put a lot of money into games. But this is what gamers were warning the whole industry about is like you guys, if you're not listening to your core audience, you're not going to make any money. And because we want you to listen to us and pay attention to us, and then you guys go nuts on us and tell us that
we're the problem because we don't want to buy your garbage. Like, this is disposable income. Like, we are doing this as a hobby, as something that we love and enjoy. And if you stop making things that we actually enjoy, we can go spend that money elsewhere. Video games are not the same as paying the fucking electric bill. Like, this is not something that we require. We can read books. We can, do other stuff. You can still invest in old games. I've got a PS2.
Heck, a lot of guys are doing the painting Warhammer figures or something like that now. It's like I'm not into Warhammer, but I know a lot of guys like now instead of playing games, it's like I'll just go paint some Warhammer figures or whatever.
I got a buddy that does D&D and stuff like that, and like it seems like fucking fun.
We don't have to give the game like nerds can make our own fun. Like we are generally more creative or people or thoughtful people that we can I can read a book and be interested in that, but the sort of gaming media, like the reason that they want to push that on you is because they know that you're sort of a captive audience, like, or they think you're a captive audience. They think that we're just going to buy whatever slop that they throw on us, but we're proving time and again that we're not going to buy their slop. Concord fails, and that's why sort of people are bringing back Gamergate in discussions and stuff like that, because now it sort of seems like sort of resurgence of that, because now there's a lot of like Concord, High Guard, these sort of corporate slop games that they're trying to push onto people, and they have to meet all the criteria of androgynous character, a bunch of different hero, attributes or whatever. That the characters aren't actually good guys. They're kind of somewhat bad, somewhat good. There's no real good guys versus bad guys kind of thing.
And there's no real bad guys. They always make the bad guys kind of just morally aloof, but not real. Like you don't have. They don't do real good versus evil types of development and storylines and stuff like that. Like everybody's just kind of morally ambiguous. It's like how do you get invested in that? And obviously people don't. You don't tell good stories, people stop caring. Like we didn't play the game
series. It's a combination of they're not making good stories and they're not making good games. They're not making good gameplay. None of the gameplay is fun. Like none of these games that they're or what they're trying to pass off as games are not fun. Like none of it's fun. They don't have good stories. They don't give me a reason to care about any of it.
And then they don't even give you like a nice ass and big tits. They make all of the characters ugly and like nobody wants their character to look like some chick that you see at fucking Walmart. Like give us something that's like appealing to the eye, and it's going to be like, I want to save the world for that. Like, yes, that's the rack that I will save the world for. I will go jump through outer space for that butt. They don't give us that anymore.
The 3D Lara Croft is not looking quite as good as 2D Lara Croft was for some reason.
Right?
or wait, no, it's still 3D, but Yeah. I guess the sort of 2.5D versus the actual 3D.
3D versus realistic Lara Croft. 3D Lara Croft was banging. Realistic Lara Croft was all right. She was, like a solid 6.5, 7.
Well, they even nerfed her even more in the newer one.
Really?
Yeah, they made her a solid 5. A solid 5.
Well, and that's the problem is if you look at pictures of the females who were involved in creating the whole Gamergate thing, they're all 5s at best. Like at best. And some of them you got to double bag it. Like you got to put a bag on her head and a bag on your head in case one of the bags falls off. You know what I mean? Like shit. So yeah. And it makes sense. Like if those are the people who are driving what studios think they need to make instead of allowing actual gamer and all of that's kind of being facetious. Like we don't necessarily want every female character in a game to just have giant tits that bounce all over the place. Like you can
it's like
you can be somewhat realistic. Just make them fucking look good. Like there's no reason for game characters to look ugly, like to be just straight up bleh. Like make them attractive. I feel like it requires more work to make a video game character be ugly than to make them be hot. Right? Like you almost have to deliberately make a character ugly.
Well, it's like there's you can have different styles of character, like Ellie in Borderlands or whatever. Like do I really want her to be a tiny woman? No, it's much funnier to have her be a big fat woman. Like that's funny. Because that's part of the story or whatever, and her character and everything. But do I want to look at that is that all I want to look at? Do I just want to look at a bunch of like Ellie's, big fat woman?
Right. And when you do a character like that and you play it for laughs and you play it for narratively, it's part of the story. That's funny and that's cool. When you're making that like the main character that you have to, and we're supposed to believe that this is the main character that's like doing this shit through the whole game. It's like there's a certain level of suspension of disbelief that like even we as gamers are not capable of getting to. Like you got to give us something that we can, and it's
it's like Master Chief. Like yes, obviously there's not going to be a super soldier that's going to single-handedly kill every alien ever by himself. Like that's obviously that would be absurd. Like even if you had the best soldier in the world, they wouldn't be killing whole fleets of spaceships of guys by themselves. But at least making a character who looks the part, he looks competent, he looks confident. We can at least put ourselves in that world of okay, now I can believe that the Master Chief is a super soldier who can do all these things. But whenever it's some chick who's a solid 5 and she looks like she's never ran a day in her life, and then you make her be Lara Croft or whatever, and running and jumping and doing all this kind of stuff, it separate. A lot of it doesn't match up to what we think of what a person like that would look like. And especially when you're going for a hyper realistic, like the sort of, I think a lot of it too is the art styles that they're going with. They're really wanting to push this sort of hyper realism thing, and the more hyper realistic they go, the less sense a lot of their sort of silly narratives make. And but going back to sort of what you were talking about though, a lot of it was that a lot of the original Gamergate, at least seems like, is that we believed that we could sort of raise our concerns to the gaming media, and the gaming media would essentially go to developers and stuff like that and say give that feedback of we don't like this. But then when the media seems to turn on you and say, well, we don't care what you think, we're in partnership with the developers and they want to we and they want to make something different. And that's where a lot of the divide was. And then like you said, there's not a lot of actual gamers that are getting hired in these studios and getting to actually make the games that we see. So now, of course, the direction is changing, and I think that's a lot of what it's just proof that when you have certain people in certain positions, they're obviously going to cater it based on their preferences. Like everything is a cascade of preferences. When someone is in a position of power and they have a particular belief system, their belief system is gonna weigh into what the design of that product is. When they're designing games and they have big fat androgynous looking women as their lead project managers, of course the game is going to want to push fat androgynous women. Like that's the obvious result of that.
And especially when those developers aren't gamers, they don't know where gaming history comes from and the things that have been successful, the things that gamers actually like we talked about in our little fire team chat with me, you, and Jay the other day. I was like, it's really easy to make a movie, a game, a show that is successful. What am I making? What is my target audience? What do they like? Do all the things that they like, and don't do any of the gay, woke, dumb bullshit unless your audience specifically is gay, woke retards. In which case, you are not going to make any money anyway, because those people don't spend money on that kind of stuff. So unless you are specifically targeting gay, woke retards, don't put any gay, woke, retarded shit in it. Just make something that your target audience is going to want, and then just watch the money come in. But for some reason, these studios are just completely allergic to that. Like, they'll take a good premise and be like, okay, here we have this thing that the audience would like. Now we're going to stick a bunch of dumb fucking bullshit in there. And then the audience, as soon as they see the dumb fucking bullshit, they're like, nope, next.
Well, it's literally... It very much culminates in sort of the High Guard. I don't know if you followed High Guard at all, but it came out recently. It was a free to play game. They were gonna monetize it. The standard monetization like Fortnite sort of model. They're gonna have the battle pass. They're gonna make you buy the skins and stuff like that. And they were gonna have $30 skins and all this kind of stuff. And of course, when we we got the game, they hyped it up. The gaming media hyped it up. They were like, and to me, this is an extension of Gamergate, especially the reaction to High Guard by the gaming media. It tells everything you need to know about the Gamergate phenomena, in that the gaming media, their first reaction is always to take the opposite side of what the traditional gaming audience what they take. So traditional gamers, like all of these gamers are like, this is trash, like this is the worst game, this is slop AI, garbage game. High Guard is the worst game, slop game I've ever seen. And then as soon as the gaming media saw that was the reaction, they published an article immediately saying High Guard is a spectacular culmination of innovation of the creation of gaming. It should be praised or whatever, something like this. All this kind of garbage. You completely it's a lie, and that's why the sort of backlash to the gaming media has been so severe, is because they're lying. They know they're lying. Like, they know that deep down inside, if they even know at all what they're talking about, which most of them don't anyway. But
and it's like they don't even play they don't even play the games. I mean, like I was talking about with Pragmata last week, like the dude that was doing the review of the game and how we can't let the Pragmata fans become a key or become the default for gaming fans, explicitly said, I haven't played the game and probably won't. It's like, okay, well then fuck you. Like, you have no opinion. You are not allowed to have an opinion. Yeah. if a man is not allowed to have an opinion on what a woman does with her uterus because a man doesn't have a uterus, if you didn't play the game, shut the fuck up and go away. Simple as that.
Yeah,
sorry,
but that's essentially the reaction is that the gaming media comes out and they run defense for these kind of things, and when there are legitimate arguments being made of hey, why is Jeff Keighley promoting this game, and it's someone he knows and that's making the game, and no one likes it. No one asked for this game, and he basically sold it as this is the next mega blockbuster, and Jeff Keighley's the kind of guy sort of front and center of the sort of traditional gaming media, and he's that guy who's essentially the hype man for all of the most worst trash games that you can possibly imagine, and that's why we're frustrated. That's why a lot of gamers get frustrated about this. Is like the gaming media that was supposed to represent you as what you are, and that's why I think a lot of people sort of turn to YouTube reviewers and this sort of stuff, because we didn't like that the traditional media was kind of going this direction of telling us what is good and what is not, and when they're telling us that High Guard is good and the peak of pinnacle of gaming and a new innovative thing, when it's literally just another looter shooter.
Well, and that's like, so
I can't do anything but laugh in their face. Like,
and like all of this is a subversion of gamer culture. Like you used to be able to go to GameStop and pick out a game and ask the guys who worked at the counter, what do you think of this? And at least one of them would tell you either it's really good or it's garbage. If they're like, regardless of what the reviews were. And they would even tell you, like, if you like this type of game, then you'll like that. But if you don't like that type of game, you're probably not. Now everything's like, you don't go to a GameStop or a game store to buy your game. They've turned it all to digital. So now you're getting the reviews that are online that are probably written by a fucking bot to promote the game. So you don't know what you're actually getting and what you're not getting from game. Like, I've gotten to where if I'm looking at reviews for something online, I exclusively look at the bad reviews. I want to see what the bad reviews say, because if the bad reviews actually say it's bad, if the bad reviews aren't just like whiny, bitchy, dumb bullshit that you tend to get with a little bit of everything, like if there are objectively bad reviews that say there are bugs, there are problems, there's something wrong with this is why this is not good, I'm like, all right, I should probably avoid this. Like, you can't trust any good reviews on anything anymore. I only read bad reviews. And if the bad reviews are the dumb, whiny bullshit, then I'm like, all right, it's probably all right. If the bad reviews actually go into detail and explain why it's objectively bad, I'm like, stay the fuck away from that. Like, that's where we are, because we don't get that person-to-person interaction in the game stores where you're getting the physical copy anymore. It's all word of mouth. I would ask Sean about games, because after I got access to his Steam account, I figured out where literally all of his money went. He just bought every fucking game that came out as it came out. And so I would ask him, I'd be like, hey, is this game any good?
That's a typical Steam user. Wait.
And he'd tell me yes or no
and buy everything.
Yeah. And he'd tell me yes or no, or, he knew what kind of games I liked. And so he would be like, well, you probably wouldn't like this, but it is a lot of fun, or, and he would try to get me to play some of those that he knew I wouldn't like. And, and that's why I go to you and Jay for some stuff too, because I know what I like, and I'm probably not going to venture outside of what I like. There are some things that come up that catch my interest, and I want to know if it's good or not. And fuck, the local GameStop that he and I used to go to all the time closed down. So now I don't even have, like, it's not even there at all anymore. Like, where do we go to get, because we can't trust the fucking game reviewers, because they all have an agenda.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that a lot of people are going to sort of like the YouTube kind of critic space, because if I play a game, and and that's kind of what like our discussion is kind of like, but a lot of people just now you want to go to someone who's independent, who isn't sort of bought by the interest, because, and that's sort of what the original Gamergate was all about, and why that people are still upset later, because when you see these sort of relationships of like Jeff Keighley is promoting High Guard, and High Guard is, he has a friend who's the developer that made High Guard, and they're all buddy buddy. They're bumping elbows at the table, and that's why he's saying it's good. It's not because it's an actually objectively good game. Like, hey guys, I'm a gamer too, and I'm actively excited about this game. Even somebody like I would think who's Henry Cavill, like, even him, like seeing the fact that he built his own PC and all this kind of stuff. I think he's legitimately a nerd. Like, I think he's legitimately a geek. He's into this kind of stuff. And so if I said, hey, Henry Cavill, is this game good? I'm pretty sure if he's played it, he would probably tell me, whether he liked it or not. None of these game journalists have even the credibility of that. A lot of them, there's been these sort of scandals of like, you have a gaming outlet who has somebody who's there who's supposed to build a PC, show you how to build a PC, and he can't even get the basics right of, hey, where do you screw these things in on your motherboard? Like, that's basic. If you're gonna have someone do that kind of stuff and represent the culture of the thing, you need to at least be able to fake it. At least be able to fake the sort of bare minimum,
Well, maybe, just maybe, we're coming back around to bullying all of those morons and fakers and posers out of our space and getting back to actually getting decent games. We're seeing a lot of non-Western studios that are putting out games that actually seem to match what the gaming community wants, while the Western studios are slowly but surely going bankrupt and having to fire and lay everybody off. And like, you have to think at some point they're going to have to realize we can't keep going down this road if we are going to stay alive. Like, at some point you're going to have to start looking at what other game studios are doing that is successful, that is making money, versus the garbage that you're putting out that's not, and basically just say, all right, we have to make money to stay alive. So maybe we're going to have to abandon this shit. Or if not, we're just going to
whole industry crashes.
Well, right. Or if not, then we're just going to keep not giving them any money and giving money to the studios that do make the stuff we want, and they'll succeed. And yeah, the whole Western gaming industry is going to crash. And maybe that's what needs to happen. Like, I have no loyalty to any of them. None of them have made games for me in a long time. So, most of the games that I play are 10 years old. It's,
yeah, I mean, I'll keep playing. We'll keep playing the old Fallouts. We'll keep playing Modern Warfare 2. I'll play Skyrim for the 100th time. I don't care. Like, Skyrim's always going to be good.
Hey, me and my roommate from college just started a playthrough of the OG on the Master Chief Collection, the OG Halo Combat Evolved. Like, we started from the beginning, and we're doing the campaign, working the campaign through together. Like, we can start fresh on this shit. We don't have to do anything that involves your bullshit that we're not interested in. We got plenty of options. Maybe,
yeah, I mean, and I think that is what's going to lead to the crash of the gaming industry. Is they have, you're continuing to put out slop. You're continuing to not listen to your core audience, and you're listening to the gaming media who doesn't have your best interest at heart. They're obviously in it for access. They want the access to the studios, and they will do whatever it is to get access to the studios. And if they can push a narrative onto your studio to what they want you to make, they'll do it.
And that's why 12 years later, Gamergate is still relevant and is starting to get traction again, because the industry is seeing that we're winning. We were right then, and we're still right now, and we're starting to win, and they're starting to lose their influence because they're losing their influence because these studios keep closing, because they keep losing money and they keep having to, well, I mean, they're not caving to what we want. They're just caving to, we can't stay in business. Ubisoft is in the middle of, they're going to have some pretty significant layoffs coming this year. You were talking about the new Tomb Raider. It already looks like that's going to get delayed to next year at the very least. Like,
probably canceled.
Right, and very possibly canceled. Like, as of right now, it's very probable that it gets delayed at least until 2027. And then that's, if it happens at all. Like, a lot of these studios that have continued to push what came out of Gamergate and the women who drove that, they are seeing failure left and right. And at some point they can't just keep hemorrhaging money. So yeah, I think we may be entering a new era of gaming sooner or later, hopefully sooner. I really hope it's in the next 3 to 5 years that the industry figures this out and sees the success of games like Pragmata and Expedition 33 and others, and figures out that, hey, there is a model, there are things that we can do. We need to just do that.
I mean, even Elden Ring, that wasn't something, that wasn't a Western studio that made that. That's people don't like that. They don't like the difficulty or whatever of a Souls-like game or whatever. They're going to have to eventually see that the Western model that they've created and that the games industry and the gaming media has propped up is unsustainable, and that's what's going to lead to the crash of the Western gaming industry, at least, if not
right. A bunch of casuals are not what's going to be your cash cow. Like, they are casual for a reason. They will come and go. Like, you have to make a product that the people who actually dedicate money to are going to continue to dedicate money to. And yeah, the Western gaming media has created the casual gamer as the default, and that is not sustainable. It never has been. That you could keep pumping out Fortnite and other kinds of slop like that, and yeah, it was fun, and you get the ones who do the battle pass stuff. But if Fortnite and those kind of things went away, the ones who are hardcore that spend money on those games, they would find something else. They would continue to game and find something that they actually are interested in. The casuals, they're not spending money anyway, and as soon as they get disinterested, they drop off. How many games do you see that they show how many you see the different how many people are playing around the world right now, and some of those games have really high releases, and then within a week or two they drop off to nothing because they got a lot of hype from the gaming media. They come out, it's shit. Casuals don't want to play it. Hardcore gamers don't want anything to do with it, and it falls off by the wayside. And then and they're all built on this Fortnite battle pass kind of a model where they want to keep tapping into their gamer base every month, but their gamer base doesn't want to, their gamer base disappears after the first month. So then these games
were just there for the base was just there to get the the boys skin or whatever, and then once they get that, they're not spending any more money on your game. They're not diehard fans of oh, I really like this character, I want to see more skins of this character, I want to buy everything to do with this character. They don't care about the sort of
they're not invested they're not invested in the characters or the product or the narrative, or they're just there for some gimmicky bullshit, and you can only keep stringing people along with gimmicky bullshit for so long before they're finally all right, that's about enough dumbass skins that I can only use one at a time. And Yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, Sean was.
And then you have the alternative, which is like No Man's Sky, which launched horribly, but then after they launched the game, then they decided, well, we got to fix the game with updates, and then now they're just giving out free updates, and people, there's literally a meme of like, no, not another update, not another free update, please, sir, no, like we will pay you, and he's like, no, you're getting another free update. It's like, and he the developer, I forget, like Sean or something like that. I forget what his name is, but it's Sean something, I think. And yeah, that guy comes out there. He's like, yep, you're getting another free update. And the whole gaming and gaming media and industry is just like, oh, how dare you? You could charge them like $500 for DLC, right? Like, what are you doing? You could make them all your cash cows. And he's like, no, I'm doing, he's clearly very much like not anti the sort of gaming media and the current games industry, because he knows what that's why that became a meme, is because he was invested in the gamer culture and he knew the memes, and that's I think a lot of what the gaming media can't meme, just like the left can't meme, I guess, in that way. It's like that's what we've come to, is the reason that they can't meme is because the same reason that like the left can't meme is because they don't understand the subculture. They don't understand anything that goes into what our interests are about. When we're going to play this game of something, guy in space, dealing with aliens, we want to have that deep lore. We want to have all these different cool things to interact with, and not just let me throw some sort of battle pass and battle skins and all this kind of stuff, and maybe that's fine. That's what new Halo does, is like, oh yeah, we'll make it open world, we'll throw you into a place, and there'll be some kind of bad guy that's brute. Yeah, we don't really know what we're doing here. Maybe we'll make Master Chief sound like he's crying, and then that'll take away from his masculinity and make him seem more human or whatever. Like, no, dude. Like, yeah. That's not what we're about.
You're setting yourself up for failure on that kind of stuff. Hopefully they all crash and burn. They all take from the foreign models, Capcoms and different developers that are actually getting it right, and realize, hey, we got to make games that, number one, gamers like. Number two, people will care about. Games that tell good stories that even if you're not a hardcore gamer, you can get on board with playing this because it's going to have a good narrative story. Like, we need to take MAGA to just one more G. We need to make American gaming great again.
Yeah. MGGA, make gaming great again. Just make it. Make gaming in general great again. I really don't care. If I could hire all of the Japanese developers and tell them like, okay, it's gonna be us American and Japanese, we will bind together and we will make games great again. Let's do it. I don't care. Like, if those guys are on my side, I don't think we can lose.
Or just run all the women out of the American gaming.
Well, that's why I'm getting the Japanese.
And then that'll fix all of it. All right. Well, that's kind of the what was and why is what was Gamergate and why is it relevant now, and how it kind of connects to the stuff I was talking about last week with Pragmata and the gaming world in general. You got anything you want to talk about, or you want to pitch or promote? Let's see, you should start doing gaming videos and stuff again more regularly.
Yeah, if I can get a consistent schedule. Yeah, you can follow my Trey 50 Daniel channel, and follow my Substack. I may do more Substack stuff. That'll probably be where most of my stuff goes, because I can probably get that out a lot quicker than I can video content. But go follow Trey50Daniel.substack.com. I'll be writing a lot there.
Yeah, do good game write-ups. I used to love Game Informer for just reading about the games, and you don't really get good content like that anymore. So make that kind of gaming content that people could actually get on board with and know if a game is legitimately good or not. Because we need the personal connections of people who play games, who like games, who understand games, can say, hey, this is a good game, or hey, this is not a good game, and we can trust that. Thanks, Trey, for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. I'll be back next week. I think next week I'm going to talk about The Boys. I'm doing more nerdy stuff. This final season of The Boys has not been good, and I'm going to talk about why. So that'll be next week. Catch you all then. Later.